really, really good to see people turn out on Good Friday. It's a busy day, it's a family bank holiday, and still and all, people are coming out and standing for one reason only, that we love this country. Isn't that right? We love Northern Ireland. That's why we're standing here today. And we're standing here for two reasons. There's two iniquitous, I don't know what we call them, pieces of legislation, but there's two iniquitous things going on in this country. The first one has been going on for the last 24 years, and that's the Good Friday Agreement. What should we do with the Good Friday Agreement? Where should it go? It should go in the bin, exactly. The Good Friday Agreement should go in the bin. And I want to ask a question today. How did we get here? How did we get in a situation in Northern Ireland? One of the gentlemen that's here today, I'm not going to name him, he's a disabled gentleman. He wasn't even allowed to drive his car up the hill into Stormont. Isn't that a disgrace? That a disabled man was discriminated against because he was coming to an anti-Good Friday Agreement, anti-protocol demonstration. But how do we get in a situation where we have convicted IRA bombers running our country? It's an absolute disgrace.
Ridiculous.
And yet, when we say that we believe that the Good Friday Agreement is iniquitous, we are the ones that are called the trouble causers. We are the ones that are called the enemies of peace. See what happened 20, 30 years ago, 30 years ago, when I came to Northern Ireland, 33 years ago actually, when I came to Northern Ireland, the IRA were on their knees. They were all but defeated. One more push and the IRA would have been finished. But with the Irish-American lobby, the European Union, the liar Tony Blair, the IRA were appeased. And what was birthed out of that appeasement was the iniquitous Good Friday Agreement. And we now have a situation in this country where the blood of the innocents that died at the hands of these people is being trampled underfoot by the people that sit in that house. We have a criminal conspiracy at the heart of government in Northern Ireland. How many people know that the IRA Army Council still runs Sinn Féin? Did you know that? Yes, of course you know that, because the dogs in the street know that. But it's a fact that the IRA Army Council have huge political clout in this country. This should never have been allowed to happen. And to add insult to injury, 2010, the butcher of the Bogside became Deputy First Minister. He got his hands on the organ of power. How can this work when we have a political party at the centre of government in Northern Ireland whose stated aim is to destroy the country that it's governing? It is absolute insanity. And I think that every single unionist party should pull out of Stormont. Every single unionist party should walk away from the iniquitous so-called Good Friday Agreement. And it's very apt that we're standing here on Good Friday. You see, Good Friday is about sacrifice, but Good Friday is also about redemption. In this country, all we have had is sacrifice and absolutely zero redemption. It is time for things to change. And I'll say this, I'm not a politician, I have no desire to be a politician. I'm just a man that feels passionately about this country. But I want to say this, there are politicians in this country who are going to stand against the Good Friday Agreement. There are politicians in this country that are going to stand against the iniquitous, terrorist, rewarding protocol. Vote for the politicians in this country at the next election that are going to put the Good Friday Agreement to the sword. They're the parties that we should be voting for and supporting, not the compromisers, not the appeasers, not the Lundys. We should be supporting parties and politicians that will get rid of the Good Friday Agreement and will get rid of the protocol.
Absolutely.
You see, there's a lot of talk in the media at the moment about the terrible happenings in Ukraine and about what happened in Ukraine and about what Russia's done in Ukraine. And there's talk about the Russians annexing Crimea. Do you know what happened when that liar Boris Johnson signed the protocol? He allowed the European Union, without a shot being fired, to annex Northern Ireland. We are not ruled by Westminster. We are ruled by the European Union, and that has to stop.
You're here.
Now, we all know what the problems are, and I could go on for hours and hours and hours, but you waited here long enough. What we need to do today is think about solutions. And let me suggest a few things, and I think I said this last time I spoke. First of all, every single unionist and loyalist that is over the age of voting must sign up and must be on the electoral roll. It's too late for this election, probably for some of them, but people need to get registered to vote, because as sure as day follows night, you can be certain if Sinn Féin top this next poll, they'll be pushing for a border poll. We need our people standing and fighting for this country in a political sense. We need our people registered on the electoral roll. Every single unionist should vote. How many times you talk to people and say, oh, I don't want anything to do with politics. I don't want anything to do with voting. Well, if we get voted into a united Ireland, it's on them. We must get our friends, neighbours and family on the electoral roll. Secondly, these demonstrations for the protocol. We all need to be attending these demonstrations to get rid of the protocol. There should be tens of thousands of people on the streets, peacefully, democratically, showing that they're opposed to this land grab by the EU and by Dublin. We've got to get boots on the ground as well as boots to the ballot box.
You're here.
And finally, I want to talk about loyalist and unionist communities. There's a big problem in loyalist and unionist communities, and it's this: there is a drug culture in loyalist and unionist communities that needs to go. The drug culture among loyalism, that needs to finish as well as everything else. It's blighting communities, it's corrupting communities, and people that should know better are involved in it. They need to move away from it, they need to be courageous, and they need to stand against the drug culture within loyalism, because you cannot think with a clear mind if you're stoned on cannabis or high on cocaine. That has to finish. And may I also say this: there's many people in this country of the Roman Catholic persuasion that want nothing to do with Sinn Féin. They want nothing to do with the iniquitous work that Sinn Féin have done for the past 40 years. We need to reach out the hand of friendship to those people and help them and let them have a voice and stand against the IRA. There's a saying that one of the gentlemen that was here earlier on had on his t-shirt, and it says this: I'll stand with anyone who fought against the IRA. And I've said that myself. I will stand with anyone who stands against the IRA. And finally, on this Good Friday, I am not living a good Christian life. However, it would not do any harm for the unionist and loyalist community to turn back to the faith of their fathers and stand and go to church and start worshipping the God that made them. Amen. Well, I'm going to hand over to John now. Thank you all for coming. It's great to stand here. It's great to stand for Ulster. It's great to stand for Northern Ireland. God bless you all.